Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to go over the signs that an avoidant wants to change for you, change for themselves, change for the relationship, change in general. And we're talking about a romantic setting, and this can apply for dismissive avoidance or fearful avoidance. Specifically, more if like it's a fearful leaning dismissive, but fearful, right? The first one is actually the individual, the avoidant, actually accepts responsibility without making excuses, okay? So they own up to whatever past behavior it is, possibly being avoidant, right? That's part of it, right? And so they say that, but they don't blame you. They mention things like, you're right, I do avoid commitment. I didn't realize that. Or, you were right when you said I'm afraid of commitment or I'm uncomfortable with commitment. I shouldn't have got mad at you. I was wrong. Or I know I hurt you by not having a label for so long, but I'm willing to figure that out together. There's no excuse for that. And why this is very important is you as a partner, okay? You cannot necessarily change them entirely without them taking some accountability or responsibility. Of course, you can set the platform and scenario and situation for them to feel a little bit more secure so they can change, but they have to do the changing. And this is one of the most important parts. They have to actually accept that responsibility and recognize that they might not even call it attachment issue, whatever it is, but they want to change something. It doesn't even have to be attachment issues. We could even talk about anger, right? I'm sorry that I was mad at you. You know what? I shouldn't raise my voice. I know that must be scary for you. I'm sorry that I did that. Or maybe they work long hours. They could say, you know what? I'm sorry that I'm neglecting my family. Let's say you have a kid. I'm sorry for neglecting you and my son. I shouldn't do that. Whatever it is, I'm sorry to leave you always doing all the chores at home because I'm working so much. The truth is that you're right. I do, pressure myself to work hard because I feel like I'm not good enough for, the performance, or I want to, I don't know, get this review or whatever it is, or I want to avoid my feelings. You're right. I do avoid my feelings. Sometimes things are hard and it's hard for me to comprehend what's really going on. So I force myself to work or I push myself. And so they're taking that responsibility, and you can see that, okay? The next one is really, really important. And I do see this, and it takes a while. I'm not going to lie, but I have seen that most avoidants, when they change, they do this at some point, okay? They actually ask you specifically what you're saying, what you want, and they listen without being defensive. So they're asking for clarity, okay? So let's say you said something like, you work too much and I feel like it makes me feel like you don't pay attention to our relationship. You said it in whatever fashion you say it, right? And they say, can you tell me what you mean by I work too much? Like, what can I do to make you feel more like I'm invested in you? Because I am invested in you and I hear what you're saying, but can you clarify, right? They're trying to understand your feelings, maybe your standards, maybe your boundaries, maybe your expectations, but they're trying to hear you. The reason why I said without defensiveness is because they're truly saying, okay, maybe I don't like what you said, but I'm willing to do what you're asking for. So why not you give me that clarity? Give me instructions, whatever it is, so that I can do that. They don't argue with your feelings. They don't say, that doesn't make any sense. You're being too sensitive. Or what are you talking about? I have to work. Or you should be grateful I'm working. That's why you get to stay at home with our son. They're not saying that, right? They are saying, okay, let me hear you. What can I do? Okay. What's ending up happening is your partner is listening to learn, not to defend and not to twist things around or make a scene. They're trying to hear you. It actually shows that your partner wants to grow in ways that matter to you, not just what's like convenient for them, right? They're not trying to shut you off. They're trying to truly make changes for you, okay? The next one is your partner is patient and they're not pressuring you to see that they're making differences, okay? A lot of avoidant individuals, sometimes they can change pretty quickly. This is more for like if they're unhealed or if they're still making their progress and they're not far in their journey. They might have changed genuinely, but you're having a little trouble trusting that change, right? This happens. And instead of pressuring you to see it or get over it or, believe them or, stop judging them, or it's not that bad. They are patient with you. They give you that space and they accept and process it. They reassure you. They understand that trust and healing takes time. They don't rush you either. Like, they don't pressure you, or even in a way where they're like, how long are you going to be mad? Or how long are you going to hold that over my head? They don't say that, right? They're actually letting you take your time. Now, if an avoidant doesn't do this, it doesn't mean that they're not changing. It just means that they still have a ways to go, right? This doesn't suddenly mean if they are doing this, they are pressuring you to get over it or see them that they're a healed, changed person. That doesn't mean, okay, suddenly if they're doing that, that means they're not changing. A lot of times they are changing. It just, they still have a ways to go. They're still not recognizing the impact necessarily on your perspective, okay? Just something to let you know. The reason this is important is because it really gives you a sense that your partner is respecting your pace, not just their desire to see you happy, which is still good. They want you happy, but they're also respecting your pace. They see that, okay? The next one is this one. I don't know if you guys will see it, but this is something that as a therapist I see. Their behavior in general is very different. Like, from an observation standpoint, as a therapist, I actually recognize that their lifestyle is changing. Their communication is different. Their habits are different. Often they, maybe they are more interested in therapy. Like, sometimes patients will come to me simply because their mom or their partner or whoever told them to go to therapy, and they just did it just because. Or they had like a really big episode of something. Maybe they are really stressed at work, or maybe they did something angry, whatever it is, and they broke something. So now they're going to therapy, but they don't actually think they need to change. But what I see is when they're actually healing is they actually are listening, they're processing, they're sharing the truth of how they really feel, and they're making those habits. So they're changing in general. It actually shows emotional growth in other areas, not just their relationship. Maybe their mutual friends have even noticed it. Their behavior is overall genuine. They are a different person. They're more calmer. They're more relaxed. They're not performative in the sense they're not trying to cover up their feelings. Their habits are changing. Maybe they're waking up earlier, or maybe they're less picky about certain things. And so you actually see truly your partner has changed overall, multivariables, right? The next one is your partner is showing up more consistently. They may keep their promises. They may communicate more regularly. They may check in with you. I like that one. I see it a lot. And you can see that they're actually starting to build trust slowly, one by one, not with those grand gestures. Y'all probably know how I feel particularly about grand gestures. There is a benefit to it. But if it's a grand gesture where it's like a Band-Aid, that's not really showing that this individual wants to change. But you can see if they're building it slowly, brick by brick, they're building that wall of that foundation to actually become a healed individual. You see it very slowly, but very consistent, okay? And the next one is that they are doing, I want to say, inner work. They're like, I think the better way to put it is like they're working on emotional awareness. Yeah, emotional awareness and emotional control, where they're actually reflecting on why it bothers you and why they do the things that they do, right? It's actually that change driven by the introspection, right? It's more sustainable than they're just, of course, they're afraid to lose you, but you're not really going anywhere, I hope, right? And so it's not necessarily, oh, I'm so afraid that my partner's going to leave. Let me quickly fix this. It's, I know that, over time, I don't want to hurt my partner, but even more so, it's not about hurting my partner. It's about, I don't want my partner unhappy. I want my partner happier, right? And that's driven that introspection. Maybe even for them, I want to do better, or I like the way this is feeling. Let me continue doing this, right? You start seeing that more. The next one is that they respect your need for reassurance of their change. I think that's the best way to put it. A lot of times you might not believe them, and earlier we talked about this a little bit. We were talking about it more from them not pushing you, but this one is they're actually giving you tools to hear them out. Let's say they used to cancel on you a lot, and now they're saying, no, I'm not going to cancel on you. And so you need that reassurance. Are you sure you're not going to cancel? We have a date, maybe Friday. and I'm nervous. And so you ask them a little bit more frequently than you would have. You keep checking and they reassure you. They give you the tools you need to trust them, okay? They give you the tools that you need to trust them, okay? So these are some of the signs that an avoidant actually is changing, wants to change for you, themselves, for the relationship, okay? Hope this video was helpful. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.